Hello and welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. My name is Peter Gordon and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. We're daily money managers. We help people pay their bills, file insurance claims, and do all the non-investment side of personal finance. So essentially, we help them organize their life's daily demands. And the purpose of this podcast is to introduce other professionals who help in different aspects of people's lives. And this morning, I'm really honored to be able to talk with Corey Bliss of Renewal Memory Partners. Hi, Corey. How are you doing today?
Hey, Peter. Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, absolutely. So I am the Senior Care Director at Renewal Memory Partners. We're a licensed home care services agency that provides companionship and home health aid support to individuals living with dementia and other forms of cognitive change. I actually came to the home care space through on the aging industry in general, kind of roundabout. My background is in the performing arts and nonprofits. So I was a performer and a dancer originally professionally for about 10 years. And then I did a pivot to boutique fitness for a while and was a studio manager, private client concierge as well. And during the pandemic, I was looking to get back to more fulfilling mission-driven work. And that's when I found Renewal. It is a mission-driven organization. Renewal's a benefit corporation. So that means we have a special commitment to ethics and transparency in our work. It's kind of like a for-profit with the soul of a nonprofit is how I like to think.
That's nice. I like it.
Yeah, and I have a personal family connection to the dementia journey. Both of my grandmothers and my father also passed from different dementia diagnoses. So it feels good to be, doing work that is so close to my heart.
Yeah, I know. I find that many people in the senior service industries have a connection, a familial connection, and
Yeah.
I have the same. So let's talk about supporting aging parents and what the daily demands of supporting aging parents are.
The demands are myriad and aplenty, and they seem to keep accumulating.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges is that, our aging parents don't really take kindly to being parented by their adult children. They have lived full, fancy, fabulous lives, and they've had their own accomplishments. And to them, a lot of well-meaning support from adult children and other family members can, I think, kind of seem as an imposition or really a threat to their independence, their freedom, their autonomy. So I think that is a key challenge to overcome, and it looks different for every family, but it is really, and we've seen this in our work as well, it is so important to center that older adult, your parent, in the decision making and making sure that they are as involved as possible, from a logistical standpoint. It's that phrase, nothing about us without us. I think that's in the disability space, and it holds true in this sphere as well. And of course, I'm sure you heard the blog posts about, the sandwich generation,
Absolutely.
parenting kids, you're parenting parents, you're getting pulled, you've got your own career, you're getting pulled in 90 different directions. So I think just trying to find that balance is tough for, folks in, middle ages, anywhere from 20 to 65, 70. I mean, I have adult children who are 70 themselves.
Right,
So,
right.
so yeah, I think that's probably the biggest issue is finding that balance. And I think a lot of families try to go it alone. I think there's a huge lack of awareness of the supportive services that are out there, which is why I'm so glad that you had this podcast, and the work that you do, Peter, is so important, because you don't have to go it alone, but it's hard to know where to turn. I say often there's no playbook for this. There's no course you take in college that tells you how to navigate any of this. And a lot of, different service providers were out there, but the struggle is really getting people to know about the different ways that we can all support, these families and work together. Um, so, it's like a big circle of care. It takes
Yeah.
a village,
Um,
truly.
yeah. No. The information is so decentralized, and
Yes.
you don't know how to go about getting it. And
Yep.
some people are good at finding that information, and many others aren't. And I love that circle of care.
Yeah. I mean, we really rely on, I like my virtual Rolodex. At Renewal, we really pride ourselves on providing clients with a full suite of support. So even if it's not something that we can do directly, we will refer. Our referral network is very robust,
Right.
and it's important that we meet all of our clients' needs, and we can be that one of those kind of central parts of the wheel, and then the spokes come out from that. You know,
That's the term I always use, is that we're a spoke in the wheel,
yep,
and
exactly,
we act in concert with other professionals. Hopefully,
precisely.
it does.
I,
People have to realize that.
hmm And I think that, there's lots of different ways that you can start with support. And I think much easier said than done, but you want some support and plans for support in place before a crisis. Far too often I hear from families, after a catastrophic fall, or, after some serious event, or they found, their mother wandering the street at night, something like that. It's tough to plan ahead, but I think even if you start with one individual, like one senior service or aging industry professional, that can connect you to other resources. For some, that might be an aging life care professional, or something called a private geriatric care manager, daily money managers like yourself. A lot of home care agencies also are really committed to broadening the type of support that we can provide. So it's really important, I think, to start somewhere, especially if you are trying to parent your parents from out of state or out of the country.
Yeah.
Um, a local resource is invaluable if you don't live.
How do you know when that time is right to get support?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this and trying to think back to some examples, but I think a lot of times people will notice something, at a holiday, or they plan and they haven't visited for a while or whatnot. Then maybe they'll notice things like, let's say, accumulating clutter. If you notice, like, someone, maybe they were attorney, they always like to keep paper copies of everything, but you're noticing stacks of paper start, not like a hoarding situation, but clutter accumulating where there seems to be some difficulty with filing those papers. Like, that stack of papers has been there the last 3 times you visited mom, or difficult missing appointments. That's a big one, where they've been able to manage their own calendar, but I got a call from a daughter that said my mom's doctor called. She missed her appointment. She told me she went. I really need someone to escort my mom to these doctor's appointments so I know what's going on. So I think a lot of older adults, whether they have cognitive impairment or not, are going to fiercely defend their independence, and will mask and hide challenges they're having, even if it's normal
Absolutely.
aging.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, obviously, if there's a new health diagnosis, I think that's a signal for more support as well. No matter how serious it is, even if it's a new chronic condition that may not be life threatening, but if you've got a new specialist involved, like whenever you've got more than a couple of physicians, like they've got a primary care and then more than one specialist, I would say you're going to need some support, let alone just with that medical care management side of things. Making sure that the doctors are talking to each other, that they're on the same page. I always tell families, get your parents' login for their MyChart account. Most big hospital systems now use MyChart. Get those logins. I have an entire vault of my mom's passwords. So whenever she forgets one, I have all of her passwords myself. So I can get into things when I'm home with her, but she can call me if she's in a panic, and I have everything ready for her. But to get back to the point of, like, when you need support, I think it's good to introduce the idea of other professionals supporting individuals as they age, and kind of normalizing that. As I've said to my mom, hey, mom, I want another set of eyes and ears at the doctor's appointment. I'm, close to 40 and I still feel like I need that.
Absolutely.
So just making it seem like this isn't something that is because you have an impairment or you can't. It's just good common sense. And I think playing that common sense angle will resonate, I think, with a lot of folks in the boomer generation. They wanted to plan, their parents planned very well for them. So it's about, this is just what you do. You get to a certain age, and especially if you're mostly healthy, getting your advanced directives in line, which we can talk about in a little more detail, but it's just part of what you do. That's what I'd like to normalize, honestly, is normalize finding, again, if you're noticing mom's not keeping her papers organized or some bills are going unpaid. I discovered that with my mom. None of her utilities were on auto pay. And there was a shut off notice for the electricity. That was a fun discovery. So in that instance, I probably would have turned to someone like you, Peter, as a daily money manager to kind of be that first point of contact, because I think that's the first thing that slips with older adults a lot, is that ability to personally administer and administrate their lives.
Yeah, executive functioning.
Yes, exactly.
And how does home care integrate with other services for older adults?
Yeah, I think we integrate pretty seamlessly, at least with an organization like ours. We're very high touch. I would say when you're shopping around for home care, you do get what you pay for in this end of the industry. And for us, we do promise to have that referral source, that service provider network. We keep tabs on our clients very closely. We know about all of their changes in condition. We know what's going on in our families' lives. Like if a home care agency, if they're not taking a vested interest in what's in your life as the adult child or the spouse or the person supporting the individual who needs the care, that's not enough. The client is not, our client is the family. It has to be, you have to take that holistic approach, because dementia especially affects everyone. It affects the entire family in very unique and very complex ways. So being able to partner with an organization that understands those dynamics and can be with you every step of the way. Flexibility is also another one. We like to be able to evolve our care to meet our clients' needs as they progress. So, maybe at first I am introducing a daily money manager or a financial advisor, and then maybe I'm introducing at-home PT. And then maybe later on they want to move to a community. So I'm bringing in a senior living placement professional. Wherever people are, we kind of know the different general tracks that things can take. And we want what's best for the family. So, we can really be an important piece. And what I value about my partners is that mutual discovery. So the more we share information about our clients and what they're going through, that means that I can make an appropriate referral, and we keep each other updated on our ends of the wheel, so to speak.
Right. And it's a great point that you have, and that's how we know each other. We know each other, and a lot of people who come on this podcast, members of the Orion Resource Group, and so I know I'm an expert in what I do, but I'm not an expert in home care, certainly not in dementia. So I could reach out to someone like yourself, and that means so much to my clients. They know that I'm a resource.
Exactly. There's enough room for everybody. There is so much need for support in so many niche areas that, yes, I so value, the network that I have, because I can trust that everyone really is an expert in their own, own subject area.
If you come up across something new, the odds are that it's just new to you. It's not new to other experts out there and other professionals, and they could, help you. And that's the importance of communicating.
Precisely. And I think another way that home care can support other service providers is that we are the boots on the ground and the eyes and ears. In many ways, we're closest to the situation as it's changing. So we're kind of like the canary in the coal mine. So if we notice something, we're going to say something to the family. We're going to say something to our partners if we're working together on a case and say, we've noticed this is happening. I think we need to make a change here. So for us to be able to be that sentinel and be proactive about getting ahead of changes, again, much easier said than done. Like, you can't prevent 100% of falls. You can't ever do that.
No.
But we can take as many measures as possible by being proactive and conscientious and, staying on top of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the importance of advanced directives.
Yes.
For the individual, for the family,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the older adults in their life.
Yeah, this is it's a question we ask all of our clients when they onboard with us, what advanced directives do you have in place? And sometimes I get the blanks.
What is an advanced directive?
What is it? Well, it's more than one thing. Like, it's an advanced directives, plural. It's an umbrella term for a number of different documents that have different applications and uses. So I'd like to kind of clarify the difference between a couple of them. So on one hand, you have healthcare proxy versus power of attorney. A healthcare proxy is someone that you designate to make healthcare decisions for you when you are incapacitated, strictly, and there's a separate form that you sign with a doctor. Power of attorney is someone that you designate to make legal, financial, personal administration decisions, again, when you are incapacitated. So they're similar, but healthcare proxy is specifically for healthcare related decisions. And then a living will is a document where you can go into much more detail about your healthcare wishes, specifically around end of life. But you can't use it to designate a healthcare proxy. You still need that separate form. So that's an important thing some people forget. They think they've got the living will, but if you don't have that healthcare proxy, and the power of attorney can't be the healthcare proxy, if you have power of attorney, you also need healthcare proxy and living will, all of the things. And then an even more important distinction is between a do not resuscitate order, which is a DNR, and a MOLST, a medical order for life-sustaining treatment. In some states, it's called a POLST, physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. Same thing, MOLST, POLST versus DNR. So a DNR is an order to not perform CPR if you stop breathing. However, it has
among other things.
Yeah.
Like, we have a client who has a DNR that includes not using antibiotics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is limited in scope because it doesn't carry over necessarily into a hospital setting. So a POLST or MOLST form is much more extensive. You can go into the same kind of detail that you can go into in a living will, but it carries through to whatever care setting you're in, from the ER to the hospital to subacute rehab. A DNR, the only people that are technically need to abide by the DNR are the EMTs and the ER. Once you're admitted to a hospital, the DNR goes out the window. So a MOLST or POLST is really critically important. It's going to give you need both, but the MOLST is going to ensure that all of your wishes are honored, including, being intubated or not, feeding tube, being on a ventilator, all of those things you can only outline in a MOLST, and it's signed by a physician.
And who prepares the MOLST?
Yeah, so I would go to your loved one's primary care physician, and and again, something to do when you're cognitively and physically healthy, so you can make these informed decisions. Very important.
Exactly.
But you can go to your physician, and they will know about it. I highly doubt they would have proactively told you about it. I went through that with my father. We had to go to his physician. His nurse practitioner ended up having a meeting with my parents and explaining everything and having him sign it. And he was in the early stages of cognitive change at that point, and it took some doing for him to understand, the importance of it. And he did, come around. We explained, when his brother passed away, he didn't have this in place. And we said, we don't want you to go through what your brother went through. This is to protect you. And it ended up really being huge when, in the wake of his passing. So yeah, very important to know the difference. So you need all 5 of those things.
Right.
The DNR, the MOLST, the living will, the power of attorney, healthcare proxy.
Right. And the MOLST is often kept on the refrigerator.
Yes, exactly. You want it where the EMTs can see it. They are trained to look there for both a DNR and a MOLST. So keep the originals or copies on the fridge and then file others away because you may need to provide them. That should sort of be in your to-go bag. If you do have a loved one with, complex health challenges, they're in and out of the hospital a lot, have that at the ready.
Right.
Especially if they're, out of state or they have to go to a hospital that's not normally where they go.
Yeah, that's a great point. And
Copies. Your email inbox is a great repository for all of that because you have a digital copy. You can pull it up at any time.
Yeah. And where did your referrals come from?
Most of our referrals come from social workers at, neurology clinics, as well, and other geriatric care practices as well, plus social service organizations. So we partner closely with Caring Kind, which is an Alzheimer's caregiving nonprofit. NYU's Memory Center has a family support program. Wonderful, wonderful resource. It's all totally free programming, social work support, all of that. We work closely with SAGE, which is focusing on LGBT older adults. That's one of Renewal's other founding principles, is providing affirming care to the community. So we provide sponsored and subsidized care to SAGE constituents, which is great. But I would say for the most part, it's social workers, it's social service organizations, and other experts and other professionals. I mean, I've gotten referrals from financial advisors, senior living consultants who say they're not ready to move. They really need home care. So let's get something in place. We really do rely on each other to know when it's time to bring in another spoke of support. So yeah, word of mouth is key. I mean, we built our reputation on word of mouth, and that's what stands the test of time. Honestly, the slick subway ads, the Google ads,
That's what we do.
No, exactly. That people don't care about a shiny salesy pitch. They want results. They want to know that you're going to prove what you promise and you're going to take care of the most important people in their lives. That's what it comes down to.
And they take the word of a trusted advisor.
Exactly. They are placing a lot of trust in us at a very vulnerable, painful time of their lives. Yeah. And to not do right by clients when they're in that kind of a state, I just can't wrap my head around that. Yeah. Doesn't compute.
And what's the best way to get in touch with you, Corey?
So my email address is great. It's C as in cat and my last name Bliss, like happiness, at renewalmemory.org. And my phone number is 212-498-9407. And you can
that information will be below the video as well as on the podcast
fantastic
site. Yeah.
Yeah, I always welcome any questions, even if renewal's not the right fit for someone. Our mantra is to never leave someone unresourced. So even if we're not the right fit, I will refer you. I will find you the right solution. So please reach out anytime.
I think this interview is proof of that.
Thank you.
That's really great. So thank you so much, Corey.
So welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Peter. This was great.
My pleasure. And so long, everyone. See you at the next podcast.
Take care.
Wow.